Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajda channel. You're tuned in. We're going to be talking about life, love, and business this morning on the Sajda Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. So be a friend, tell a friend, um, like, share, subscribe. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, give y'all time to get into the room, and we'll start right in. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but those are usually the best ones, okay? So we'll see y'all soon.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome, welcome to the Sajda channel. I am so excited this morning. Just feeling good, got good energy, good vibes going. I'm just really excited to talk to y'all, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about today, but generally, when we move like that, then the spirit moves us and we come up with something really good to share and to talk about. And so um, I'm just excited about it. Hope you all had a good week. I had an amazing week. It was very productive, very spirit filled, very exciting, very spiritual. Yeah, I know it was a lunar, was it a lunar or a solar eclipse this week? But interestingly, though, when you get these eclipses, you got to think about how it affects the energy in your body, how it affects the genetic memory, right, inside of your DNA. There's water in our body that holds memory and energies from generations, because that fluid is passed down from generation to generation. And then the oceans have energy and memory, and they've been churning lately with all the hurricanes. So there's a lot of illumination and shaking up that's happening out here in the universe, just physically, right? Between the eclipse, between the weather, the hurricanes. Anytime you see massive amounts of water like that are moving at a rapid speed, you best believe that inside of those water molecules is the energy and memory of incidents and episodes that have happened for as long as that water has been there. That water has that energy in it. And so as that starts to churn and overtake, you're going to feel something in your body. You may start to feel really tired, like some fatigue. You may feel, some emotional surges, sadness. You may feel hungry. You may start having certain types of dreams and things like that. But this is really spiritual time when you see these things happening, especially these weather episodes. What makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquake, right? We all know the answer to that question. At least some of us do. And so as that mix is churning, think of it like if you got ingredients that are in a bowl, and as you start whipping and turning it, it's going to change the taste. It's going to, integrate some of those past memories into the current energies here today. This is very interesting. It's almost like taking a bowl of, or part of the water in a bowl, and just slamming it and throwing it up on the earth. And then you change, then the rotation of the earth and the moon is synchronized, where they are in sync and they cover each other. And the moon pulling on that water, and all those ancient memories that's up in that water that's now flowing onto the land is it's going to affect you. So you may be feeling, sensitive. You may be feeling some kind of way. And if you are, it's okay. Just take some time. Make sure you do some extra prayers. You may find that old past memories are coming back into your mind. You may find that old relationships that needed to be repaired, you have an opportunity to either reconcile them or let them go, whatever it is. You're going to just see the pot just mixing spiritually. And don't trip on yourself. Don't blame yourself. You're even going to start seeing some what you may say miracles, like real big manifestations. And I wanted to remind us, I was reading the Holy Quran as I was waiting to come on, and I turned right to Surah 17, verse 30. Surely thy Lord makes plentiful the means of subsistence for whom he pleases, and he straightens. Surely he is ever aware, seer of his servants. So when he's churning the earth around like this, right, in, with these waters and these eclipses, don't think that your genetic memory has been forgotten. Your rewards are coming to the forefront. And so what I need us to do is to make sure we stay in a space of gratitude, but don't let your gratitude cross the line to where it's moving into a space where you don't think this should be happening to you, because that's a different set of energy. This is a great time right now to shift your consciousness and live in a different space with all that's going on in the universe. You got the perfect cocktail right now. Don't worry about what appears to be negative. Don't worry about people talking about, oh, it's the end of the world and all of this. God didn't say it was the end of your world. It's the end of somebody else's world. Okay. And I'm not even going to go into that right now. But you are a created being. And so when you are a created being versus being a made being, a made man and woman versus being a created man and woman, you and I are created men and women. And so what does that mean? That means that we can make something new. We can turn water into wine. Okay? We can change energy spaces and the trajectory of our lives. And we don't have to resort to destruction, to hate, to anything like that. So be mindful during these times. If you're getting yourself calibrated and going into your prayers and going into your meditations during these times and just kind of settling down and getting quiet, and you start to see things start to shift and start to change, stay in a space of gratitude, but don't go to the space where all of a sudden you start praising and having gratitude, but it's with an energy that this is not supposed to be happening to you and I, because now you're changing your vibration. You want to be thankful. God already promised you an inheritance. God already promised you that he was going to prepare a table before you. So if he promised you and you believe him, then don't act like you didn't believe him and all of a sudden it happened and you're shocked. That's a different vibration. If you believe that your inheritance is coming and that table is being prepared for you and that bottom rail is going to be raised to the top and that it's your turn and all the other things that we repeat, if you believe that and it starts to happening, lean into it. Lean into it with humility, with gratitude, but with confidence and a knowing that this is in fact who you are. Okay. Let me know if you all have any questions in the chat. I don't have anything specific. Something just said to me to share that about what's going on with the hurricanes and the memories and the water and the solar eclipse and the moon having a specific angular pull on all of these waters and all of this ancient memory, because the earth doesn't forget. In fact, about it, the earth doesn't have the capacity to forget. It's just there. So whatever happens, the energy of whatever has happened is in the earth. It's in the water, it's in the trees, it's in the ground. So when you start moving that around, start moving that energy around, you're making some changes. Something's different. Something's happening. Okay. So let's see who we got in here. I see you, Brother Lamont. He says, good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Happy Saturday. While I'm reading these, you all let me know what you want to talk about. Any questions? Sister Aurelia says, Assalamu alaikum. Grand rising on this beautiful day to all this morning coffee talk family. Yes, yes, and yes. Mom says, happy Saturday, everyone. Yes, the verse of the day, Sister Aurelia, Surah 17, verse 30. That's so what is that? 47. That's like Surah, that takes us to Surah 47. Also, if you add those up, right? So that's Muhammad, the event. Okay. And then she says, disasters create opportunities. It is a $1 billion business. Yeah, not only is it a $1 billion business, but it is, if you step back from the disaster piece of it, it is a shift in the earth. And the disaster comes because we're not prepared for the shift. But it is a shift in the earth, whether it's an earthquake and it's the plates moving, whether it's a hurricane and it's the water overturning itself onto the earth and remixing with the earth. There's energy and memories there. And it's very, very important that as gods, that we tune into that we lean into that. And while the disasters are severely unfortunate, there's something else there on a spiritual basis that we have to look into. You know, you have that old saying that, you know, those hurricanes coming across the Atlantic and down into the Gulf and up is the ancestors. That's not totally untrue, because in those waters, as I mentioned, is DNA, is genetic or historical ancient memories, right? So that's why water is so healing and so revealing and so important. And so you see a lot of Native American tribes that really use water as grounding, you know, bodies of water. You know, it's like we have Lake Michigan here in Chicago, that, and the whole Michigan Triangle, and the Lake Michigan is just extremely spiritual. It's one of those bodies of waters that will churn your soul, and you can just feel it churning your soul, whether it's cold or hot. If you ever get a chance to just go stand next to it. I was there the other day, and there were like wheels popping. I think I posted it on Instagram, like popping up out of this bed of like really dark gray clouds. And it was funny because I was trying to take a picture, and every time I took a picture, they would lower down, right? So it's like the cloud was here and the wheels were here. And every time I tried to take a picture, they would just do this. They were like doing that. And so I just decided, I said, all right, put the camera down. Let's just absorb the energy of them being here. And so, but Lake Michigan is extremely spiritual like that. When you study the, I believe it was the Potawatomi and the Chicago Indians, Native Indians, who, or I should say indigenous people. So the Potawatomi and Chicago indigenous people who settled in this area, they always settled around, Lake Michigan. And Lake Michigan was all the Great Lakes, in fact, were real magnets for them. Lake Michigan in particular is huge. And Lake Michigan is interesting because Lake Michigan, there's a part of it where there are 3 ley lines that meet and they line up directly with Chichen Itza, Mexico. So the pyramids in Chichen Itza line up directly with a certain point outside of the Lake Michigan or along the Lake Michigan triangle. So these are all energy points of the earth that when we were older and more in knowledge and more in tune with ourselves, we knew how to read these energies and things like that. So, yeah, very, very interesting. So thank you, Sister Aurelia, for your comment. I'm not going to say it because I know a lot of people don't understand it. But yes, the waters and the bodies of water are obviously mentioned in our lessons for study. Absolutely. 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 Yesterday I shared some few updates from the renovation of the home, which was very exciting. I have some client projects that are moving along very well. So we're excited about that as well. So this is a time, and I'll tell you, during the eclipse and during this kind of pocket of the eclipse that we've been in, and this moon has been just vibrantly full and amazing and beautiful. At one point I was feeling like tired, but not like tired like I needed to go to sleep, but tired like I needed to just stop and absorb some energy and just take some time to do that. Some of you may have been feeling that way. I've talked to some people who said, man, I've been really extra hungry all week. And I felt that yesterday, where I felt really hungry, and I just purposely because I felt it and it was so, it felt unnatural. I knew it was some kind of churning in my solar plexus that maybe I was misinterpreting as hunger pangs. So I went and got a nice natural smoothie, and that was all I had, because I just said, I don't want to mess up the flow of this energy. Like literally, I could feel some shifts happening during this period of time, and I'm sure that a lot of you could feel that. And so, like I mentioned, what I try to do is I'm very, very careful and very mindful of my energy, because I want to use these opportunities to lock in and lock myself into a different dimension and to begin manifesting from that dimension, but being very careful not to go to that other side where I'm like, this is not supposed to be happening to me. I just try to go deeper into my purpose and say, I know that you're supporting me because I have a purpose. I have a reason for being. I live my life in purpose, and I'm grateful for you. And I know that as long as I'm aligned and in submission and I stay on purpose, that you will continue to show up. And I'm not surprised that you're here, God, because I'm looking for you everywhere. And so I'm grateful that you're here. I'm not like, whoa, Jesus, Lord have mercy, none of that. And I'm just very careful not to tip that vibrational scale. And I know that we live in a world where we navigate through so many haters, so much negativity, that when something good happens to us, it's very easy for us to become, braggadocious. It's very easy for us to, you know, react from a space as if this isn't supposed to be happening to us. It's very, very easy for us to do that. And so we want to be mindful of that so that we get the benefit of this rich, juicy, luscious shift, you know, that is happening. And sometimes if you don't know what you're feeling, just stop for a minute and say, what am I feeling? You know, what is this? Why am I feeling like this? Be careful about, I don't do a lot of, and I had gotten into this for a while, where people will do things like they'll burn candles or they'll have certain symbols. Be careful with that as well, because if you say, let's say you say, I got to burn a white candle because I need more love in my life, then what you're focusing on is the absence of the love. Okay. And if you're not skilled enough, you'll focus on the absence of that thing that you're burning the candle for, and you'll find yourself needing to burn the candles all the time and more and more and more, because you're in that pocket of lack or the thing not being there, as opposed to learning to take yourself through physical exercises that help you to release energy that is blocking you from, from your divinity, if you will. I'll tell you something else that I do. I have a place that I go to here in Chicago where they give you energy pressure point massages. And I'm not talking about where they just like rubbing on you, but they're really putting, certain meridian pressure points and helping you to move lymphatic liquid around. And sometimes just somebody putting their thumb on a space where you got stagnant energy, if you feel the pain, it feels like somebody hit you there, but it's just a thumb pressing on it. And so just that thumb pressing on it and moving that energy around, and then during, as much as you can, even though it may be painful during the massage, just releasing, relaxing, and, asking God to remove from you any stored energy that is not of service to you as you're seeking your alignment. It's almost like a body hurricane, if you will, where and then there's some pressure points they'll push on and they don't hurt at all because you don't have any stagnant energy there. But as you're going through life, as you're going through the vicissitudes of life, your body is going to take and store energy where it needs it. And then it's going to trap energy because it may not want that energy traveling to certain organs in your body. So it may trap it in the muscles outside or around that particular organ. The body is miraculous. It is really, really beautiful. So, you may find that you have tightness in your legs because of something that you're dealing with spiritual. Well, when they start to press on those pressure points, you're going to feel the release of that energy. And, it's just in general, when you start working on these aspects of yourself and working on becoming a God, you don't really have time for a whole lot. And you allow things to flow. You allow things and people, places and things to flow and come and go. And you just know that if it's meant to be, it'll flow back around. And if it's not, if it was just for a time and space, it'll flow, and you just send it off with light and love, and, just leave it. Sister Aurelia says, no need to fear the future. Embrace the change, work hard, and make no excuses, and pay it forward. Yeah. I think we embrace I think we fear the future because we're so locked into the establishment, the world. So when we hear things like the fall of America, we don't think about where's the torchlight for America, right? We don't, we're just looking at, man, the dollar's falling and interest rates are going crazy and the prices of this is up and down. And what I say to people is you got to take your mind off of worrying about that kind of stuff and focus on who you need to be so that no matter what the prices are, no matter what happens, you can be in alignment with Allah and you can thrive. That's why I said yesterday, it's us as humans that are caught up in the different names that we have for God. And we are so superficial. It's such a slave mindset. See, as slaves, the name was a big deal to the master that owned you. Okay? So if you were, so-and-so Smith or so-and-so Johnson or so-and-so Jackson, that was a big deal to the establishment because what that told the world at that time was that you were owned by Master Jackson, or you were owned by, Mr. So-and-so. Thomas Jefferson's slaves' last name was Jefferson. Andrew Jackson's slaves' last name was Jackson. George Washington's slaves' last name was Washington. And then if George Washington died and you and your children got sold to Andrew Jackson, your name went from Washington to Jackson. So when we get all caught up in these names, it's a residue of that system. And we do the same thing with God. Well, I'm better because I live on the Jackson plantation. And on the Jackson plantation, he lets us get off at 7. And then you might be talking to somebody on the Washington plantation and they may say, oh, we all live in the house. We don't even live in them huts. We don't got a beef field. And so there starts to be aspirations and comparisons as to the type of slave master that you have. Some people say, well, no matter what you do, you don't want to be in Sugarland. You don't want to be in Candyland. You don't want to be, like them slaves on Django because they work hard. They dog they slaves. They beat them. And so we're comparing, and then we do the same thing with God. We go, well, I call him Jehovah. And because I know him as Jehovah, I'm better than you because you call him Allah. It's the same God. And then we even get to the point where we say, oh, well, no, it ain't even the same. And I call him Yahweh. That's what I call him. And I call him, I just say God, whatever. All these different names. And it's so silly. It's such a slave master mindset. And then we start beating each other up and causing problems and divisions over a name, over processes and practices that we didn't write up and design ourselves, as opposed to getting back into loving one another and supporting one another. We've been talking about these disasters. If you got love and support, it might be painful, but you can make it through one of these disasters. Something happened to you with love and support, you can make it. You're going to heal faster. Some of us are so cantankerous and caught up in a name that we think, well, if I'm healing, I don't need nobody around me. Yahweh got me. Well, Yahweh, guess what? Works through people. Jehovah works through people. Allah works through people. And so he will deposit himself into people, and those people around you with loving energy is going to help you navigate a disaster or a negative situation faster. It's going to actually prevent that situation from becoming a trauma. See, the easiest way to get through trauma is to have a support system. And the easiest way to prevent trauma is to have a support system. So love and energy around you, and the more of it that loves you, more people around you that loves you, look, you can heal overnight. That's why I tell you all, some of you all say, well, you know, Sister Sajda, I may not be in a position where I can donate. And I say, look, we need the money, and the donations are greatly appreciated. But if you love on us, if you just say, if you go in your prayers and you love on me, I'm going to speak specifically. You love on me, you pray for me, you see me, you give me a smile and tell me you love me and that Allah loves me. Do you know what that does vibrationally? That means any negativity, any struggles, any challenges, anything that could potentially be a disaster can be turned around overnight. There's powers in numbers. Sister said the wealth is under our feet if we use them to get moving. Yeah. Movement is important. So let's kind of rise out of and above all of this other stuff and go towards being God's, so that when people are around us, they want to be around us. We're loving and supportive, and then they feel the presence of us even when we're not there. But, you know, sometimes some people are really so hell-bent on a systemic way of thinking, a dogmatic way of thinking, that they can't see past. They're not spiritual at all. They may be ritualistic, they may be religious. And then it just, all of that does is it just creates more and more insecurities. You know, when you live your life like that, your insecurities just get huge. You start looking at other people and you start wondering, what are they doing and what do they believe and how can they have this and how come I don't have it because I'm on this plantation and they on that plantation. It's really, really, really silly. Really, really silly. It's like saying, well, look, we got Master Jackson. How come we don't get chicken on Thursdays? That's what we're doing with religion and with our spirituality, that we got to stop. Because as the earth starts flipping itself over and we start seeing the fall of America, you know, when something is falling, it starts falling slow at first. And when it gets closer to the ground, it starts, the fall begins to accelerate because gravity starts to pull it and has a greater effect on it. And it starts to fall faster. And so when you start seeing that fall happen, you know, what you want to do is you want to be in a space where you're able to now rise up into a leader, where you can support people, you can help people, you can love people, you can be a beacon of hope, a beacon of truth, an example of love. You can navigate up out of the pressure cooker because you have love in your heart. If you ain't got no love, you're going down with the ship. I'm telling you. Yes, and yes. Okay, family. Anything else? Any other questions? Let's see. Next week, inshallah, we will have our crystal sweatshirts. Can't wait for y'all to see them. I hope y'all get them. We're going to have, inshallah, some more berets, some more He Lived berets. Of course, you know, the oud oils are there and are here already. We sold out of the first batch. We're on our second batch. You know, fragrances, I call it the fragrance of the gods because fragrance is used to elevate your spirituality. You know, when you go into some cultures, they pass around like the incense, and you, in a meditative state, you fan it to you, and it is supposed to elevate you and expand your senses. Well, this is one of those kind of things to really help you be extra attractive and all of that stuff. So that's available. You can certainly go out and get those. And as I mentioned to you, at the end of the day, please support. You can support via Cash App, Sajda Enterprises, Zelle, wendy100m@gmail.com. I'm going to be speaking in New York. I'll give you guys that information. So if you all are on the East Coast in that New York region, I'm going to mention it to you all. It's November 22nd, actually. It's the Resurgence Conference with Reverend Dennis Dillon. So I'm excited about that. But we got some good stuff we're going to be mentioning to you, and stay tuned. We got some exciting stuff happening next week with the house that I can't wait to show you. And so we're ramping up to where we're going to be working on booking those tours. If you don't have your coin, get your coin now. Get your coin, because membership has its privileges, and you're going to get access to a lot of stuff. You're going to get priority entrance. You need the coin. You need the coin. Plus, it helps support the work that we're doing. So, and if you want to become a sponsor, just go to sajdahouse@gmail.com or see one of our experienced reps, Sister Dawn, Sister Anissa, Sister Zakia, or Sister Sadia. You can see them online, and we'll set up a Zoom with you and go over the sponsorship package. If you have something there, if you don't like anything that we've already put together, and you might say, hey, I want to support the utilities every month. Well, we can certainly put that kind of sponsorship together for you and make sure you get recognition. Okay, I see you, Sister Monica, just joined in. Welcome, welcome. Walaikum salam, Regional Sky Girl. Sister Regional Sky Girl said, wait a minute, did we talk about disasters? We did briefly from a spiritual standpoint. We did have that conversation at the beginning of the talk. Sister Monica said, coin and oil this next week. All right. Praise be to Allah. Coin and oil for Sister Monica next week. I think I am really trying my best to be that beacon of hope, that motivation, that soft landing place for us as we begin to go through a very powerful transition as a people. And it's time for us to take our rightful place. But in order for us to do that, we're going to have to go through some stuff. And if in going through it, we can learn the power of unity, the power of love. That's why I'm pressing us to get out of this dogmatism and let go of these crazy behaviors that you see in the world. You see all this stuff being, there's a light being shined on all of these things that have been in the darkness for so long. And when that light starts shining, people start scurrying, and it can be quite embarrassing for those who have thrived and lived and monetized the darkness for so very long. So it's time for truth to stop, to speak louder, because hate has been speaking so loud and the truth has been whispering. And so now it's time for truth to speak up. Okay. Sister Monica says, been dealing with the disastrous chemical fires, so keep us in prayer. Definitely a trial, but opportunities to shine light on my community. Oh my goodness, Sister Monica. All right. So as a group, sis, we send you love. We send you energy. We pray that whatever has been damaged can be replaced and upgraded. We pray that Allah is with you and your family during this disastrous chemical fire, and that damages are minimal, if nothing. And if anything is damaged, that you're able to replace and upgrade it with ease. So you are in our prayers. We love you, and we ask that of Master Fard Muhammad. Man, that's challenging. But I believe you're going to be okay. Allah is with you. So thank you all. Thank you, Regional Sky Girl, for reminding people to click the like button. This is taking place in Georgia. That's what Sister Aurelia is saying. Or is that a question, Sister Aurelia? Sister Monica is partly in Georgia. Okay, family. So with that, happy Saturday. I don't know what y'all got going on today. I got a few things happening and popping off today that I got to be in the right energy for, but I'm always excited about it. I'm always excited about the challenge to bring my environment with me, and to control the space and time with bringing divine energy to any situation. So let's work on that, family. I will see you all. I'm going to go live at some point on Monday. It may not be at 6 a.m. So just watch the social media pages. I'll let you guys know up front, like when I'm about to go, because there's a few things from the house that I want to show you all. So I may pop in and out on a live. Wait, let me make sure it's Monday and what I'm thinking of showing you all. Let's see, get my calendar out here so I can make yes. So I'm going to pop in and out of live on Monday and show y'all some stuff. So, and like I said, inshallah, soon we'll get back to, once I get things stabilized, we'll get back to going live more often. And I'm working on, I got a lot going on. I'm working on a book for the DECA-Fest. So you all get to see that and read it and go through the principles and all of that soon. So anyway, happy Holy Day of Atonement, time of the year for each and every one of you. And we'll see you all, inshallah. And if I think of something, I'll jump on the live and chat with y'all. May Allah bless each and every one of you. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you soon, and sending each and every one of you and wishing you more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. All right. Peace and blessings.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the